Welcome to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show. Tune in for a vibrant mix of fashion, finance, and life's essential foundations. Join us for expert interviews, insightful discussions, and empowering insights to elevate your lifestyle. From fashion trends to financial tips and personal growth strategies, we've got you covered. So grab your headphones and get ready to be inspired. Tune in now to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show and embark on this exciting journey with us.
Welcome back to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Talk Show. I'm your host, Marie Antoinette Waite, and Gianluca Gibbons is with us talking about how to hijack reality. Now, Gianluca, I have one question for you. I know that these are all great for individuals, but how can we utilize this for people that are in business?
Sure.
I mean, that's something that I can see where if you have this power, which is what you call superpower, and have the business owners also look into it, how can they use it?
Sure. Well, the beautiful thing about it is that people make up businesses. So if it works for the people, it'll work for the business.
Okay.
I with my company, Sydney Palmer, I work directly with the founders and decision makers of companies.
Okay.
Right? For storytelling specifically, and then business development around storytelling.
Okay.
And I use these same principles because the first thing I start with is like, who are you? What do you want? Right? And what was the initial imagination that birthed this company? What is the imagination of where you see this company going? Now that we understand that, let's look at your team. What's their imagination? What's the story that fuels their imagination and led them here? Right?
Yeah.
What's the language that they use versus the language that you use? Is it aligned? Is it disaligned? Right? And your managers, they may have the same vision as you, but does their imagination behind that vision align with yours? Because if it doesn't, you'll say one thing to them and they'll communicate to their subordinates differently. Right? And then the interns will communicate it differently. Right? And then maybe you have independent contractors that may act as your proxy in certain situations. Does their imagination and vision and desire and want and sense of identity align with that of yours? And have you even had that conversation with the rest of the team? We spend so much time branding companies with their color, with their logo. The logo doesn't go and talk to people. The colors don't go and talk to people. People go and talk to people.
Yes.
So we've spent more time talking to the graphic designer to get the vision and the essence of a company, to then hand out, docile material, 2-dimensional, 1-dimensional pieces of material to a team, anticipating them to read a few paragraphs to see colors and get it. And then when there's disalignment with your consumer or your stakeholders, or messaging goes out that doesn't align, we're like, what happened? Where's the disconnect? So if we don't have some level of collective consciousness, and not in some ethereal new age thinking, simply, have you shared your imagination in detail with your team? Have you given them time to tell you their imagination about your same goals? And have you determined who each of you are in that space? Another key thing I love asking when I work with a team member, before we talk about money, before we talk about equity splits, what do you want and why do you want it? Right? Start there. So now my imagination for us working together is going to be rooted in the same desire you want for yourself. And I'm going to do you the favor and say the same thing for me. So I know what I want. You know what you want. We both know. So now our imagination can look out for each other. And now that once we go out to the world and we're trying to bend reality in our favor, right? There's a book called The Blue Ocean, right? Blue Ocean.
Yes.
If you want to create a blue ocean, then you're bending reality because you're saying, I'm creating a new market that doesn't exist. And not only am I solving a problem for existing customers, I'm also going to create a space for new customers to enter the market. You're bending reality.
Yes.
If you want to do that, you need a centered force for not just your C-suite, for your management team, for those that work under them, for your independent contractors and your interns. How do you align imagination all in one place for a common goal.
Well, have you spoken in a lot of organizations, like big corporations?
So I spoke at the Digital Footprints Conference once on authenticity.
Okay.
And in that sense, I was talking more about micro-influencers and that approach. I spoke in GKIC Mexico. I speak Spanish as well.
Okay.
So I spoke there. I spoke about a similar thing, authenticity through influencer marketing.
Yes.
I also spoke at a human resources convention, and it talked about the 7 steps to building an iconic personal brand within the workplace. And that's huge because you have to know who you are to understand what you want to reflect. You know, as I took them through 7 steps as human resources professionals. How do they brand themselves in a company to be that trusted figure that people go to for navigating the workplace? So I have, but I would love to do more. You know, and every week, every time I do research, every time I overcome a challenge with a client, there's new information I'd love to share. You know, and even now this book just came out last month, adapting principles from this book specifically for businesses. You know, how do you keep people motivated? You know, how do you keep people creative? You know, how do you not just compete? How do you create differently? You know, how do you create a blue ocean minded workplace environment? You know, and when people are unmotivated, when they lack creativity or they feel disconnected, how do you inspire that? You know, because that's going to save you lots of money. Creativity is way cheaper than ad budget.
Yes.
You know, is way cheaper than flying in some high flying consultant that's going to you know, if you can get people creative, you will start seeing that all your answers are already within your company. You just haven't tapped into the creativity.
Yeah.
That
It's just really triggering and inspiring people on how to tap into their creativity.
Of course.
And that's where you come in, because I think you make a point from your speaking on how you realize that they do have that. They have superpowers, is what you say.
Yeah.
And really understand how they can hijack that reality.
And they can
right.
how to hijack. And there's so many elements at play. If somebody is overwhelmed, because if you look at the nervous system, right?
Yeah.
You have safety, you have danger, and you have fight or flight. If your team is living in a sense of danger or fight or flight, maybe not in their personal life, but in their corporate life,
Yeah.
creativity exists in safety. Connection, community exists in safety. So if you're not managing that level for your workplace, folks, you're like, be creative, do this, but they're in like fight or flight, or they're in danger, or they feel that way in their nervous system when they walk into the building, you're not going to get creativity. And they're going to hijack the reality out of that building.
Yeah. Well, you know, I wish I could have more interviews of you and more time with you, Gianluca, but I want you to take this time and talk to our audience and share whatever you wanted to share to them. So go ahead.
Sure. And am I talking?
Yeah, talk.
Okay, awesome. So first of all, remember you were born with the innate ability to hijack reality. And for those who are like, well, that sounds like a lofty thing, you know? Daniel Schechter, Harvard professor, graduate, said that the same regions of the brain that are used for memories are the same regions that are used for imagining future events. In other words, the reality of you reflecting on a bad memory and the reality of you thinking about a desired future event registers the same way in your brain, which means you have the ability to reshape perception and redefine how you experience reality. It starts with first knowing, what do you want, right? And also knowing who you are and what you want in a way that you do not mind disrupting the projections of the outside world. I always say, learn and see everything around you, but believe what you want in your imagination and allow it to bend reality in your favor. So please, you can go check out the book, How to Hijack Reality, on Amazon or hijackreality.com. Please continue listening to Marie Waits. She's giving so much great information so you can live a fabulous life. And I hope to see you soon. Let me know what you think about the book. And remember, you have the power to hijack reality, and endless possibilities are at your fingertips. So learn the framework, apply it to your life, and see how your reality changes for you.
Wow, there you go, everyone. Thank you so much, Gianluca. I mean, this is an incredible, time with the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio. And for everyone out there, be sure to connect with Gianluca. You can even connect with me and see how he can help you hijack your reality. And he does have a book that you can go get. Where can they get this?
So you can find it on Amazon.com.
Okay.
It's available on Kindle, and it's also available for print. And you can also find it on hijackreality.com.
There you go. Well, thank you so much for tuning in today. And I appreciate you supporting our show. Fabulous Lifestyle is here every Sunday at 3 o'clock p.m. on KCA Radio Network. And we are here every Sunday. So make sure that you share it to your friends and tune in. And you can also watch us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV under Building Solid Foundations. And again, thank you so much. And we'll see you next week.
Welcome to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show, where we talk about food, fashion, finance, and foundations of life. We are live on KCAA Radio Broadcasting Network. KCAA is affiliated with CNBC, NBC News, and NBC Sports. We are sponsored by Sheltered Studios, Fire Connect, and Building Solid Foundation.